In a fiery and unfiltered exchange, Tommy Robinson came face to face with an ITV reporter and hit him with a blunt, unambiguous accusation. "You're feeding propaganda to the people." Without hesitation, Robinson held the journalist personally responsible, calling him just another cog in a media machine that, according to Robinson, has deceived the British public and turned a blind eye to serious failures in the justice system. His words weren't just emotional outbursts. They were calculated charges aimed directly at the core of a system that, in his view, no longer serves the citizen but instead protects itself. The reporter, clearly uneasy, struggled to respond, not due to a lack of arguments, but because deep down, he likely knew there was truth in what Robinson was saying. The statistics, the headlines, the experiences of thousands of ordinary people all pointed to the same thing. Something was deeply wrong. Yet instead of confronting the issue or challenging those truly in power, the reporter, like so many others, took the easier route: silence. Rather than practicing real journalism, he stuck to the approved script, the one that doesn't challenge the status quo, the one that keeps everything just as it is. Robinson, however, wouldn't let it slide. He called it out as part of the complicit silence that has eroded public trust in institutions. A silence that, he argued, doesn't come from fringe voices, but from the very media that claims to speak for the people. In that moment, the mask slipped. It became clear that the journalist wasn't there in pursuit of truth. He was there to protect the dominant narrative, no matter how distorted or unjust it might be. Before revealing the full confrontation, the video invites viewers to like and subscribe for more content exposing the real state of Britain. As the clash unfolds, Robinson presses the journalist for not properly researching why he's on trial. He points out that any serious reporter would have already watched his documentary, understood the facts, and wouldn't be parroting hollow headlines. The reporter tries to dodge the question, claiming that it will all come out in court, but to Robinson, that's not enough. What truly reaches the public is what the media prints, and those headlines, he says, are full of lies. He goes on to describe how individuals linked to certain outlets had stalked and photographed innocent members of his family, putting them in danger. Then he asks directly, "Do you think I have the right to ask a journalist questions on camera, just like you do with me?" The reporter hesitates, fumbles, avoids a clear answer. He says he believes in press freedom, but won't firmly say yes. Robinson pushes further. Why is it that when he uses the same journalistic tools, camera, questions, exposure, he's the one threatened with prison? He compares this with what the Daily Mail allegedly did, filming his daughter and ex-wife without their knowledge and publishing the footage. Was that allowed? Didn't that deserve punishment? But when he asks questions, that's considered a crime. He drives his point home by saying this is just another example of a rigged system, one that punishes those who refuse to conform. "How is it that I'm the one facing trial for this?" he asks. "They put my family at risk, but I'm the one who could end up behind bars." The journalist, while perhaps well-meaning, had done no real investigation. He was simply dispatched to grab a few sound bites, then file a report written by someone else. One that, according to Robinson, doesn't contain a single shred of truth. "You're spreading elite propaganda," he tells him flatly, then accuses him directly. "They use you because they can control you." Unlike them, Robinson claims he can't be manipulated or silenced. That's why they drag him into court again and again, using the legal system as a weapon to wear him down. "I haven't broken any law," he says. "My only crime has been being a free voice and refusing to kneel before those who want to control what's said." Robinson, maintaining his combative tone, makes it clear that his situation isn't just a legal dispute. In his eyes, he's being made an example of, punished for refusing to follow the script that most mainstream journalists now accept without question. What once was journalism, he claims, has turned into PR work on behalf of those in power, and because he doesn't fit into that mold, they come after him. Looking straight at the journalist, he throws another pointed question. "Do you think it's fair that just for wanting to ask questions to someone who slandered me, I should risk spending a decade in prison?" The reporter still won't take a stand. His discomfort is obvious. He hadn't expected this kind of confrontation, but Robinson doesn't back down. He accuses him of being part of a media machine that no longer serves the public good, no longer informs, investigates, or holds power to account. Instead, it covers up, spins, and distorts. "How can you call yourself a journalist when you don't even know why I'm in court?" Robinson snaps. He goes on to say, "The system knows exactly how to use people like him, the obedient type, who repeats what they're told, who does the job without asking questions. That's why they send you," he tells him, "because you don't challenge anything. You're easy to shape." Robinson calls it what he believes it is, a calculated strategy. Rather than address his claims or debate him publicly, they hit him with lawsuits, drag him through court after court. It doesn't matter if the facts are on his side. The goal, he says, is to exhaust him, silence him through attrition. He calls it lawfare, legal warfare. All the while, the journalist says little, a few vague phrases here and there, nothing that actually refutes what's being said. And that's when Robinson hits hardest. They can't control me, and that's why they want to destroy me. He doesn't say it from a place of victimhood, but from a position of realization. In his view, the entire system is built to protect the powerful. The rules shift depending on who breaks them. Justice, once blind, now picks sides. And so, he refuses to stay quiet. Instead of bowing his head, he picks up a camera and shows what the media, he claims, tries to hide. I know how to ask questions too, and they won't shut me up with manipulated headlines. In that tense exchange, the contrast couldn't be starker. On one side, a journalist who doesn't investigate, who simply repeats what he's told. On the other, a man, right or wrong, who refuses to let others define him. Robinson insists his goal isn't to destroy journalism, but to reclaim it. This isn't revenge, he says. This is self-defense. They manipulate. I expose. He claims that the entire legal pursuit against him has nothing to do with real crimes. It's about being inconvenient. It's about being a voice that won't bend. And that, he says, is something certain interests simply can't tolerate. In a particularly charged moment, Robinson pauses and locks eyes with the journalist. The fury is gone, replaced by a cold, cutting calm, as if he's about to tell him something the reporter already knows deep down, but refuses to confront. You're not here to report the truth, he says quietly. You're here to shape a narrative, a story that was written long before you even turned your camera on. He then begins listing example after example, real cases where the media failed, where facts were omitted, twisted, or buried to protect those who should have been held accountable. He speaks of broken families, of victims abandoned, of entire communities that stopped trusting the system because when they turned to the press, no one listened. Do you know how many people come to me because the media made them feel invisible? Because reporters like you didn't want to tell the truth, just the version that fit your agenda. The journalist says nothing. Maybe he doesn't know how to respond. Maybe he's not allowed to. Robinson shifts focus. He's no longer just defending himself. He's pointing to something larger. The erosion of public trust. The complete disconnect between everyday people and those who claim to speak for them. People don't believe you anymore? Did you know that? He asks. Not because they're ignorant, but because they realized you're no longer on the side of truth. You're on the side of power. He reminds them that it wasn't always this way, that journalism used to mean standing up to the system, not becoming part of it, that cameras were once used to hold those in charge accountable, not to target those who dare speak out. But now, you point your microphones at the loud ones, the inconvenient ones, the ones who refuse to fall in line. He pauses, takes a breath, then says something softer, almost like a warning disguised as advice. When journalism becomes surveillance pretending to be information, all the people are left with is distrust. He talks about his personal life, not to gain sympathy, but to give context. How he's had to move his family for safety. The threats, the doors that have slammed shut, not because of what he's done, but because of what he's exposed. Do you know what it's like to see your daughter splashed across a tabloid for something she didn't even do? To explain to your son why strangers yell at him in the street. And then, with a steady voice, he says, "You're not the one paying that price. I am. But you made it possible." The journalist tries to interject, murmuring something about just doing his job, and that he doesn't control what gets published. But Robinson cuts him off. That's the most cowardly thing I've ever heard. Because you do know, and you do it anyway. You know this is a hit job, and you still play your part, not because you believe in it, but because you're scared. Then he confronts him again with a question that slices straight through. Where's your red line? When do you say, enough? What has to happen before you say, I won't sign this lie? No answer, just a silence that says more than words ever could. And Robinson ends the exchange with a line like a blade. You don't need a camera, you need a mirror. Because from the very beginning, what he's tried to do isn't win an argument, it's force someone to look themselves in the eye after they've stopped truly seeing. The journalist doesn't answer. He looks down, maybe because he isn't allowed to speak freely, or maybe because deep inside he knows he can't stand by what he came there to say. At this point, it's not about ideologies or political stances. It's about something far simpler and far more uncomfortable. When the truth becomes inconvenient, it gets silenced. And that's exactly what Robinson came to expose. For him, this wasn't just a confrontation in front of a camera. It was a snapshot of a broken system, a raw x-ray of how those who challenge the script are punished, while those who stay quiet are rewarded. "I didn't come here to ask for permission," he says. "I came to make it clear, you don't own the truth." As he walks away, the camera keeps rolling. There are no shouts, no applause, just an uneasy silence lingering in the air, like a truth everyone sees but no one dares to face. If you also believe it's time to question what we're told, if you believe journalism should be free, unfiltered, and fearless, then hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. We're still here. Speaking without filters, without fear, and without permission. See you in the next video.